Hey, welcome to Vortex Garage, and today I wanted to take an opportunity to give a quick video to kind of update on some work we're doing on our Spitfire, but also cover a piece of metal repair that we're doing that we didn't do on the left-hand side of the car. So let me fill you in on what we've been up to. So basically, there's a lot of videos on our channel about doing the floor, the sill panels, the inner rocker, outer rocker, stuff like that on the left-hand side of the car. So I figured since we pretty much documented all that on video, I'd go ahead and work on the other side and pretty much just keep updates on Instagram and just sort of power through it, not really worry about getting camera set up and all that jazz. Well, as I started going, I found that this side is a little bit more worse off in terms of rust than the other side. And it actually got to the point where I needed to do a little bit of extra metal repair. And I wanted to talk about one of those items today on this video. All right, we're in for round 3 because on the second time I attempted to film this, I left one of the cameras on manual focus and did check the focus, and I was completely out of focus in that video. No good, had to throw it out. So what we're here to do today, the good news is we're gonna be a little more concise. What we're here to do today is show you a couple tips and tricks about removing this A-post repair panel. So this is the lower piece of the A-post, which is kind of like an A-pillar, and this ties together your front piece and your bulkhead to this lower piece that we removed, which ends up attaching to your floor and your rocker panels and stuff like that. So we removed this from the car for a couple reasons, and the reason we're filming it is also for the same reasons. Number one, on the other side of the car, we ended up just doing repairs on this piece. If you remember, we had a couple bits of damage, we had some rust, and we just cut those out, welded in new sheet metal, and it was probably about 2 or 3 little small spots that we did, and the rest of it was in really good shape. Well, on this side, the rust was a little bit more extensive, and unfortunately, I decided that this part was a little bit too far gone. Now, we probably could have repaired this part, but it would have required a fair amount of metal work on some of the more complex areas where you have more of the complex curves. You have this very big bead here. And on ours, as you can see, we've got a couple rust holes, and I'll be showing some footage of some close-ups of this. And if you flip it around back, we've got some damage on the back from water that sat in. So there's just a lot of weak metal all along the bottom of this. There's some rust holes. We would have had to redo this bead, these complex curves, etc. So the decision was made to go ahead and scrap it and get a new part, because the new part was only about $100, about 115 shipped, and really good quality from Steelcraft, and we'll talk about that in a second. So in removing this part, it was kind of decided, hey, it's going to be faster and better quality to go ahead and cut this off, remove it, and replace it with a reproduction part. So what I wanted to do today is share a little bit of the experience in removing this piece, because it's not exactly 100% trivial. We didn't film the removal, but I'm going to go ahead and talk through some of the things that we did. Now, first off, on this piece, you're going to notice we left a pretty big chunk hanging off the side here. Well, as you remember from the left-hand side of the car, this is the underfloor bracket right here. Now, what I found it was actually easier to do was to go ahead and cut away a lot of material and then sort of free up stuff so you have a little more room to work. And you'll see as I talk through this, it would have been smart to do that up around here as well. So what I did was I cut away some of the original floor that I had left on when I removed the floor, and I just cut around that, and then I cut around this edge, and that way I've got this piece removed. I can remove this bracket on the bench. I've got a lot more room to work with. I can cut this away. And one of the main reasons for that is normally what I'd have easy access to is the spot welds from this side, and I'd have to drill through this thick bracket, put holes in the bracket, which would be a pain in the fill. It's a little bit harder to get my drill from this side because you got your battery box and things up in here. So I just cut it out. That way I can take it to the bench. I have plenty of room to get the spot welds from the top, and this piece of metal is going in the garbage anyway. It'll be a lot cleaner to remove that. So always think about that. Is it easier to just cut around the big stuff and free up the small stuff to work on the bench? Now for removal here, it does look pretty simple. You've got your flange here and your spot welds that you got to cut, and then you've got your stuff in the front. You've got a flange here and you got to cut the welds there, and then you've got some welds along your inner structure in here that you need to cut and pop out. You've also got a flange on the side here that goes up into your A-post where your door jamb is. And well, I don't know if you can see that on video here, but I went ahead and cut that out, and I'm going to tell you why. We'll start there. So this will be the first little bit of detail. So as you can see, I kind of did start drilling those out. There's about 3 or 4 spot welds, at least on this car, and you got to drill through this post and door jamb area, and then you can come in with your tool and pop those loose. Well, what I found as I was getting the tool in there, you end up bending and warping the sheet metal, and as you're pounding on it, if you don't drill perfectly through there and you're trying to cut through one of them, you end up risking warping this metal here and warping this corner. So what I ended up doing was, rather than fight with that, I just came in with the cutoff wheel and zinged out a little rectangle. What I'll be able to do is come back, put a little piece of metal in there, weld it in, grind it down from either side. It'll be a nice smooth thing, nice butt weld, and you'll never know that it was cut out. So for me, that's actually going to be faster and easier, I think, than risking warping this metal and having to come in with a hammer and dolly and get this perfectly straight again. So for me, that was the route that I took. You might have an easier time popping the spot welds out. I might have been rushing a little bit at that point and said, you know what, let's just chop this thing out. So the second bit of information, let's talk about this flange here a little bit. So that is super simple. Probably one of the hardest things you're going to find is when you look at this piece, you see it has kind of a coating from the factory, and then these end up getting rust on them even though they were inside, just from moisture getting into the panels and whatnot. And the big problem that that gives you is, who cares? It's rust, to replace it anyway. But the big problem is finding your spot welds. Just look at that. Imagine there were spot welds in there. You'd never see them. So here's a good tip for you. Go ahead and take your roll lock disc and just grind away ever so slightly. As you can see, I kind of did here. Just enough to grind it down to see some bare metal. Well, all the spot welds, which there's some up here, they're indented a little bit. So they're going to be the last thing to get ground down. So as if you're going a nice, light, kind of low grit grind, you're going to start cleaning the metal up a little bit, and all of a sudden those spot welds are going to become super apparent. They're just going to magically appear. Once they appear, you can go ahead and tap them, and not tap them, but punch them with a punch, and go ahead and drill them out and pop them. One thing that was interesting on this flange, and there's some pictures on our Instagram, which is a good place to kind of stay caught up with what we're doing. The edges of this flange from the factory were like hammered down and just bent and like twisted. And my best guess is that when they went to put the outer rocker panel on this car, it wasn't fitting during the factory install. And one way they decided to fix that, maybe it was hitting these edges, they just took a hammer and hammered either edge and bent them down. Now I'm confident that it wasn't from accident damage because all the other spot welds looked factory original. There was 0 Bondo on this car, 0 dented panels, everything was straight. Honestly, if it wasn't for rust, this would have been a really, really nice piece. So definitely not accident damage, definitely something from the factory. So easy enough, took some pliers, bent that up. The main reason was that covered about 3 or 4 spot welds that we had to get. So not a big deal. Let's go to the front area here. And this is probably one of the more difficult parts of this. And again, this seems like a real easy part to remove, but it is kind of a pain, which is why we're doing this video. So up front, you have a small flange here from the factory piece, and you can see on this flange isn't all that big. It's actually bigger on the reproduction, which is nice. I almost hope they consciously did that on the reproduction part, because there's just not much of a flange on the OEM piece. And that actually made it kind of tough to drill the spot welds. But then you have that filler piece for the rocker panel, which we had sort of cut around, and that's welded in addition, and you've got some bead welds, about 3 or 4 of them that go up around this arc. So that's kind of a problem as well, because you've just got 3 or 4 different sandwich pieces of metal. You've got the flange piece up here, you've got this piece, you've got your floor on the bottom, you've got that rocker panel piece, you had your rocker panel up around here. There's just a mess of stuff up there. So it can be a little tough to drill everything out and find everything. So again, that's one reason we did the trick of just cutting around. What I ended up with actually on the bottom here was a section of floor that was still attached, and I just cut all the metal out of the way. And when all this was removed, I came in and cleaned it up. So again, that made it easier. But around here, it was just a pain to get everything. You can see there's actually still a little chunk right here that we still need to clean up. Next would be this inner structure, and there's a couple points here with how we've got our other inner structure that we built to keep the car from folding in half, and that played into this and made it a little more difficult. So again, on the other side, I didn't have to touch my inner structure because it wasn't affected because I didn't remove this piece. Now I had welded it to this inner structure, this inner brace inside the car here, and you can see that this lower bar, that's where it's welded to. Well, I started to think, if I were to remove this piece, this is a nice strong piece with this bead and these curves that's really tying together this piece and the front bulkhead. In fact, the front bulkhead, there's nothing really to this. This is very flexible. So I really was concerned if I cut this away, even though I had a little bit of weld on the top here holding this bar on, would this cause this piece to twist? And if this twisted, all of a sudden I'd be fighting alignment issues and stuff like that. So what I did, just out of worry, was take a few pieces of scrap from when I put this in, and I tied together these two bars here, and that way I have a nice strong tie-in here. I've already got a nice angled tie-in on the top, so I figured we're in pretty good shape. Plus this bar is still welded on the top to this inner structure. So good news, when I removed everything, zero movement, no twist, no nothing, everything is completely solid. Now when you're removing the spot welds on this inner structure, a lot of them follow the radius up here, and it can be a little tough. Remember, use that, I've been using the spot weld drill and just a regular 3/16 inch drill, and then I come in with that spot weld popping tool. It's like a little chisel. It's like a nice long thin chisel. Well, even though it's long, you still got to come in here and get to this stuff, and sometimes coming in where this tight radius is, it was kind of tough to get in there. So this was where I said a lesson learned. I probably would have been better served to just cut out this chunk and be done with it and be gone with it. I'm not saving this part. I don't know why I was so protective of saving the whole thing. Cut it away, I would have had a lot more access. I could have come in from this side where normally I couldn't, because again, with this piece here, I couldn't really get in maybe from this angle, but not much else. I couldn't really come in with that tool and a hammer and be able to pop these on this side. So I had to really go all the way through there or up through the bottom. So this is a little bit messy, these flanges. This one's nice and clean, or pretty clean up top, but right around the radius. And then for some reason, I had a lot of trouble on this bottom flange. I can't tell you why. I don't know if I just missed the spot welds. Again, some of them, like I said, were kind of hard to see. I don't know if I just missed them, or if when I had welded this, I don't know if I ended up welding a little deep, kind of hot, and fused them together. That's probably the case, because I think I was really just fighting that. So I kind of chewed this up a little bit here, so we are going to have to come in and clean this up. But our flange here looks pretty good. The nice thing about this, it's not the best looking thing, but it's pretty simple to fix. So this is going to be some straight metal. This will be a slight simple curve on this flange here. And then I'm going to go ahead and replace this edge on the bulkhead as well. So the bulkhead is nice and straight, but the flange is a little bent from popping it and has a lot of rust on here. There's a big chunk of seam sealer. So like I said, I'm just going to clean this up. We'll fix this up with whatever additional metal we need to, and we'll be ready to put our new part on. So again, just to summarize, the hard parts of removing this were this edge here on the door jamb, because I didn't want to bend this and mangle this door jamb. The bent pieces on our flange, but really the hardest parts were this whole front mess area, which took a lot of time, and then this kind of the radius parts, and then for me, it was the lower parts of the spot welds based on how I had welded my structure in. Once I overcame that, it came off nice and easy. Let me show you the new part. Now here's why I went with the new part. I mean, this thing just looks great. It's nice, it matches all the factory curves. It's nice and strong. They use original OEM thickness, nice gauge metal. All the flanges are there. And I've had really good luck with their parts. I got this from Spit Bits, but it's made by Steelcraft. All their parts seem to fit really well. I had really good experiences on the other side. I mean, some minor tweaking here or there, but you know, none of the horror stories that you hear were some reproduction metal. So all in all, pretty good. And this part as well, it looks like it's going to fit nice and well. We've got the flange to go up in here. Of course, I bent that actually. I dropped it yesterday, so I bent that. It actually was perfect in shipping. I got to give them credit for that. That's hard to do. But yeah, I dropped it. So anyway, we'll clean up the edges here. I'll probably keep this flange and just grind everything down and clean this up, replace some metal. Go ahead and get this welded in, get it fitted, and then we're going to be all set to go ahead and start working on the restoration of this side just like we did on the other side. So what I'm going to do, like I said, I'm not really taking film of all the work that we're doing on this side because it matches what we did on the other side. So you can check out those videos on YouTube. But I did want to go ahead and give you all the detail of what I experienced removing this piece. And when I put this one in, I'll do the same. I'll share the experiences. And I know these videos get a little long-winded, but really the purpose of this, I know some people like to watch stuff on YouTube. You just want to sit back and watch cool car stuff. I do that too. I love doing that. But sometimes you want to catch up and see, hey, maybe I'm going to do this on my car, or maybe I'm in the middle of doing it. I want some detail. That's kind of what I aim to do, is just share with you my experiences, all the nitty gritty, everything I can think of that I went through. That way you won't make the same mistakes I did here, and don't rush this part like I did. Don't get, oh man, it's almost dinner time and we're going to get tacos rushing, because that's what I did. Man, I was ready for tacos. So, but yeah, go slow, take your time. And hopefully some of the detail in this video will help you if you're doing it on your car. And so we're going to cut into our video here because, well, while we didn't take video of removing and replacing this piece necessarily, we've got lots of pictures from Instagram. So here's some commentary as we go along. Like here's some drilled out spot welds and the results of using the spot weld popping tool. But no, in all seriousness, let's walk through this a little bit. So obviously you can see our new piece there with our old piece. And then, of course, we talked a little bit about using the roll-lock disc to expose the spot welds. And then we can use our spot weld drill. Go ahead and get them in. Of course, you can see I jumped around quite a bit on that, rushing a little bit, you know. And then, of course, here's where it looked like when it was finally off. And we kind of covered that for the last few minutes. But here's some of the spots we talked about where it's a little bit mangled at the front end. There's kind of a lot of overlap. And you can actually even see some brazing material there. Once we got everything off, we did straighten it out, clean the cuts up a little bit, prep a little bit of new metal, and go ahead and start getting some new pieces reattached. Here you can see we used our shrinker stretcher to get this curved piece in. Got it tacked in, and then we ended up finish welding it. Nice butt welds there. Same with our front firewall or bulkhead piece. A little selfie shot there. And as you can see here, once everything got cleaned up, it actually looked really nice. And then we were able to go ahead and get our panel test fit. Once it's test fit, you can kind of mark out where it's going to be so you can plan the holes that you need to drill. Went ahead and use some Clecos to get it started there. Get those holes drilled for the spot welds and prep your panel. You can see how those line up with the marks that we made from the inside. Once everything's drilled, you can start welding it in just like we would any other panel. And there it is, welded it again. I feel like I'm giving a slideshow from my vacation. All right, anyway, here's where it sits today. This was literally taken a couple days ago. In fact, those tires in the background, they're for our F-250 that we're working on. Got some videos of that coming. But just wanted to kind of show you, we still got to grind down our spot welds, but everything's looking pretty good on the car here. We're going to pull it out and get some work done on it soon. All right, back to our regularly scheduled program. In the meantime, hopefully you enjoyed this detail if you're working on your car, and otherwise hopefully you enjoyed the video. We'll be back with more here on Vortex Garage.